I've been drawing for a little while now, wanting to find a space or a spot to do my first sketch in the Baohong Watercolor journal that I received. It's a bit tricky now. I work in Campbelltown, Tasmania, and I'm on my drive home. It's about a 40-minute drive home through the countryside, so there's some amazing places that I can stop. The back road that I'm on right now is quite skinny, so I've passed quite a few places. But again, I'm a little bit more wary of safety, and there's not a lot of room on the side of roads here to really pull over. The other thing that's been going through my mind has been, do I do a nice really big landscape or keep it quite small and refined? Now, there's been quite a few nice small compositions that I've driven past, but by the time I've actually made up my mind, I've driven past it. And again, quite skinny roads, safety, I'm not just going to leave it. So I found this nice little spot that I'm going to be setting up, and initially just doing the sketch. I may get to doing the line. I don't have a lot of time, so I'm going to see how quickly that I can get this done. Now, it's a beautiful scene to my left-hand side, and it's a little bit of a snaking river. Nice little old fence line that's leading down to it. I'm probably going to be keeping this relatively exactly as what I see in the scene, or as real as I can. And yeah, I'm just going to swap that over now, and yeah, you'll have a look. So this is the scene here that I'm looking out my window. It's going to stay in my car, get this scene down as quickly as I can. And yeah, I think there's going to be quite good practice for when I'm traveling and wanting to capture what I see in my line and wash. Now, I don't have my watercolors here today, so I'll do those at home. Yeah, let's get into it. Alright, I'll try not to bump my thing. So this is the Baohong Watercolor journal. I'll get the dimensions later. Yeah, it's rough paper, 300 gram. And let's see if I can do a whole 2-page spread. Distant tree line, a little bit closer than the rest. It's a bit hard to see, it's a very foggy day, so I can't actually see the way this mountain range is structured with its shadows. But what I can see are some other parts that are slowly a little bit closer. So I'm going to put those in. Another one further back here. So down below this tree line is where we have the snaking river. Just going to put that in. Probably not going to be able to get, actually I probably should have left a little bit less sky so I can get the actual fence line in. That's okay. Let's just get this river in. There's tree line that gets smaller as that descends into that distance. So we have trees all the way around, or aligning these banks. I'll just be a little bit creative with these trees. I don't want to get them exact. So I kind of lose that. Just flatten that out a little bit more. So I've got a building just here. One, two, and there's a tree line, another tree line. Actually, that's probably going to be that tree line. So this, we've actually got another tree line even higher up. I'll come back and do that later. There's maybe different layers here. got one of those malleable rubbers. I'm just going to redo my mountains. Okay. So I've got my building here. It's got I've got the tree line directly behind it. Now they are more singular trees, but that's okay. I'll fix that up later. So directly behind that, we have more hills. Most notably, there's a hill here that has a row of trees forming a hedge type and some housing here. There's quite a few actually. And then directly behind that, that's where we have a tree line that goes into the most clearest contrasting areas before we have mountain range. I'm not going to be exact with this, just approximately. I'll just get a couple of these little features in. And one, that's right. Here we have, actually, sun's hitting it now. And another one over here. Goes a little bit higher. There's a tree line there. And we've got a few other trees that line that area there. Pivot. Yeah, the pivots are what our farmers use for irrigation, but a lot of the time they'll have sprinklers attached. These pivots I can't actually see. Depending on where you are, you can actually see where that's going. I might rub that out, so I haven't done that correctly where the perspective is concerned, so that's going to get rubbed out. Okay, I'm going to be adding in some different features of this mountainscape when I go and do my wash, I think. Just flatten that out. Keep an eye on the perspective of the river. Again, the river's leading into the image. I think I may leave it there. I'm going to go home using the reference image that I captured. I will using the reference image that I captured, I will just make some finer detail adjustments, add my line, add a wash, and I think we'll see how that turns out. It's going to be a lot of fun, I think. I'm going to have to make sure I keep that river free of anything or keeping it very much the colour of the sky. These clouds are amazing today. Anyway, I think I like that. We'll see how it goes anyway. See you soon.
Now what I'm doing is layering in some quite dark values for that mountainscape, leaving some areas of white. Now the rough texture, it's one of those things, it's just really nice. Now usually over winter time, which it is, depending on the time of day or after a right type of weather, you get beautiful snow-capped peaks. So I just wanted to emulate that. This time of year there weren't the snow caps there that day, but you know what? I'm going to put them in there because you can. Now once I've got the mountains in, I'm going in there with a relatively bluish green, just wanting to put in a distant tree line. Using a little bit of water just to soften the bottom as I then delve into a little bit more vibrant green tones. Just wanting to do a little bit of negative painting here around the house. and the different shed features in the distance. Adding in different bits of green now, just into this mid-ground, darkening up areas and just sort of laying in different tones of green tones. Now, recently I've just been doing a lot of larger paintings. When I say large, it's A3, approximate A3 size. It's actually quite nice just to do something quite small for a change. Now, my palette has changed slightly since the last time I actually did talk about it, and the colours that are going around. Starting up the top, I have the Payne's Grey. Next to that is the Glacier Turquoise, I think it is, from Schminke. Next to that is the French Ultramarine, Phthalo Blue. Then I have Ultramarine Violet, Cerulean Blue, Chromium. Then we have Prussian Green, Sap Green. The yellow there is the Hansa Yellow Medium. Next to that is the Tundra Orange. I'm just sort of experimenting with a little bit. Yellow Ochre, Raw Sienna, Transparent Pyro Orange. The next is Permanent Red. Next to that is Quinacridone Red. Now, next to that one there, right on the bottom, is Burnt Sienna, Burnt Umber, and Shadow Violet. Shadow Violet's an interesting one. I actually really do love the colour, the separation that it provides, but it's not strong in the dark, so you do need to sort of blend it a little bit more with some French Ultramarine just to get some really nice dark shadows. It's quite interesting reading about Shadow Violet actually. It was a little bit of a mistake that was made in the factory, Daniel Smith, that when they were making a batch of Payne's Grey, I think it was Payne's Grey? No, I think it might have been a batch of Moonglow. Someone had accidentally added in a pigment, the wrong pigment, which may have been Transparent Pyro Orange or something of that, something similar to that. Well, I probably should look at the pigment numbers. I'm just sort of talking by remembering at the moment, but they actually made this pigment by accident, and so they trialled it, and yeah, I think they've got it in the lineup now as something a bit permanent because it is a beautiful colour with the separation that it provides. My son's just in the room at the moment having a bit of a play around with these things. So a couple of little noises there. So just with this barn in the background here, it's very open. It's obviously a place where they store the tractors and so forth for machinery. So layering in just a bit of using the Tundra Orange there, but I'll be going in with a little bit more of a darker pigment a little bit later to darken that up. Just going back in a second time, the drying shifts meant that a lot of that distant background's lightened up. I actually wanted to make sure there was significant distance from that furthest tree line to the mountains, so I wanted to make sure that was a little bit darker. And now just going through and just touching up some a few other final details, adding some darker greens in places, especially in the mid to foreground here. Now, actually, I wouldn't really call it foreground because there's not really anything of high detail, but yeah, I'm not sure. Again, this is my watercolor journey. I'm still learning, and terminology is going to be one of those things, so that'll be something that comes. So I've removed the tape and I've just left it for a little while, a couple of hours, and I've just gone back in because there are some areas that I just really wanted to fix up, especially the contrast around the near the river and the reflections cast from those trees into the river. And adding this contrast, I think, is just going to help with the bringing that out and separating it a little bit more. Using a Princeton Aqua Elite there, I think. Synthetic brush. And these are just going to be the last finer details that I put in. Now, looking back at it, I think I would have done the mountains a little bit different. The high contrast at the top of the mountain doesn't really bode well with the lighter bottom of the mountain, the lower half, before it hits the tree line. Kind of does give it a bit of a smoky haze feel, which there was quite a lot of smoky haze on the day. I don't know. I probably could have controlled that a little bit better. But again, it's just one of those things that I just left. Try to let the watercolor do what watercolor does best. Okay, we're towards the end of the painting now, and I'm just wanting to go over something that I experienced at the start on location when I was doing the initial sketch. Now, when I began the drawing, I'd only really had one thing in mind, is that was getting the S-curve in the center right. Now, I began by layering down my mountainscape, which really limited my ability to add foreground, essentially, which was the fence line going down the hill. Now, looking back now, I could have really easily solved this by breaking my image up into 3 parts. Image or my page up into 3 parts. Now, proportioning the 3 elements where distance was concerned, being the foreground, midground, and background. Now, my usual approach is to lay down the big shape first, and I'll be using that big shape to then identify the relative sizes of all other shapes and connecting them all together. Now, as you saw in the beginning, the mistake that I made in the size and location of that initial mountainscape, and then the creating or this laying down of that midground, meant that I really had to adjust and push my background back even further. So my whole image was pushed back, losing that foreground that I really wanted. But I'm still very happy with the outcome, as I was still able to maintain my main focal of interest, or main interest point being that S-curve. Now, I decided not to use fine liner, instead keeping it as a painting, which I'm quite happy that I ended up doing. Again, I love liner washes, but I thought I'll just do something a little bit different with this one, and I think it's turned out quite well. Well, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.